Master your time. Master your success. Introduction. Master your time. Master your success. Time is the only resource every human being receives equally, yet it produces wildly unequal results. Some people turn ordinary days into extraordinary lives, while others feel trapped in a constant cycle of stress, delay, and unfinished dreams. The difference is rarely intelligence, talent, or luck. More often, it is something quieter, less visible, and far more powerful: how time is used. This book begins with a simple but life-changing truth. Your success is not determined by how much time you have, but by how well you manage it. Every achievement, every failure, every dream realized or abandoned can be traced back to hours spent wisely or wasted without awareness. Time does not shout. It does not warn you loudly when it is slipping away. It simply moves forward, silently shaping your future with every choice you make. Many people believe success belongs to a special group: the gifted, the rich, the lucky, or those born into opportunity. This belief is comforting because it removes responsibility. If success depends on factors outside your control, then failure is not your fault. But the reality is far more challenging and far more hopeful. Success is built daily through small decisions about what deserves your attention, your energy, and your focus. These decisions are repeated every day, often without thought, until they become habits. Over time, habits become destiny. Look closely at your own life. Your current situation, your progress, your stress level, your sense of fulfillment is not random. It is the result of how you have spent your days over the past months and years. This is not meant to judge or discourage you. On the contrary, it is empowering. If your life has been shaped by time choices before, it can be reshaped by better ones starting now. One of the greatest misunderstandings about time management is the idea that it is about doing more. Many people already feel overwhelmed. Their days are full, their minds are tired, and their schedules are crowded. When they hear the phrase time management, they imagine stricter routines, endless to-do lists, and a life with no rest. This book takes a different approach. True time management is not about filling every minute. It is about aligning your time with what truly matters. It is about doing fewer things, but doing the right things consistently. Another common mistake is confusing busyness with productivity. Modern life rewards activity that looks impressive: answering messages quickly, attending many meetings, multitasking constantly. Yet, much of this activity produces little real progress. You can be busy all day and still move nowhere. Success requires not motion, but direction. It requires clarity about goals, priorities, and values. Without clarity, time management becomes an empty technique. With clarity, it becomes a powerful tool for transformation. The most successful people in the world understand something simple yet profound. Time is not just hours on a clock, it is life itself. When you waste time, you are not just losing minutes, you are losing opportunities to grow, learn, create, and improve. When you invest time wisely, you are investing directly into your future self. This mindset changes everything. It turns ordinary days into building blocks of long-term success. This book is written for anyone who feels that time is slipping away too quickly. It is for those who have goals but struggle to move forward, who feel busy but not fulfilled, motivated but inconsistent. It is also for those who want success not just in career or money, but in life as a whole. Success that includes peace of mind, balance, and purpose. You do not need to become perfect to master your time. Perfection is not required, and it is often an enemy of progress. What you need is awareness. Awareness of how you spend your time, why you spend it that way, and how small changes can produce powerful results over time. This book will help you develop that awareness step by step, without pressure or unrealistic expectations. We will explore the deep connection between time and success, not through theory alone, but through practical insights that you can apply immediately. You will learn why discipline matters more than motivation, why focus is more valuable than talent, and why saying no is often the key to real progress. You will also learn how energy, habits, and mindset work together with time to either accelerate success or silently sabotage it. Importantly, this book does not promise instant transformation. Real success does not happen overnight, and anyone who claims otherwise is selling illusion, not truth. What this book offers instead is something more reliable, a clear path, a way to take control of your days, 1 hour at a time, and slowly build a life that reflects your goals rather than your distractions. As you read, you may begin to notice uncomfortable truths. You may recognize patterns of procrastination, distraction, or avoidance. This is normal. Growth often begins with discomfort. But remember this: awareness is not failure. It is the first step toward change. Every successful person you admire has faced the same struggle with time at some point. The difference is that they chose to confront it instead of ignoring it. The relationship between time and success is not complicated, but it is unforgiving. Time rewards consistency and punishes neglect. It does not respond to excuses, intentions, or regrets, only to action. The good news is that time is always neutral. No matter what you have done in the past, the next hour is still available to you. This moment is still yours. Throughout this book, you will be encouraged to reflect, not just read. The goal is not to impress you with ideas, but to help you think differently about your daily life. Small reflections lead to small changes. Small changes, repeated daily, lead to remarkable results. This is how success is built. Not through dramatic leaps, but through steady steps taken in the right direction. By the end of this journey, you will understand that mastering your time is not about controlling every minute. It is about choosing consciously instead of living on autopilot. It is about designing your days instead of reacting to them. When you master your time in this way, success stops feeling distant and starts becoming inevitable. This book is an invitation to take responsibility for your hours, your days, and ultimately your future. You do not need more time. You need a better relationship with the time you already have. And once that relationship changes, everything else begins to change with it. Your success is waiting, not in the future, but in how you choose to use the next hour. Chapter 1: Time, the only resource you can't replace. Time is the most democratic resource in existence. Every person, regardless of wealth, intelligence, background, or status, receives the same 24 hours each day. Yet the outcomes created from those hours are vastly different. Some people use them to build skills, relationships, health, and meaningful success. Others allow them to slip away unnoticed, consumed by routine, distraction, and delay. The difference does not lie in how much time people have, but in how they value and use it. Unlike money, time cannot be saved for later. You can earn more money, borrow it, invest it, or recover it after a loss. Time offers no such mercy. Once an hour is gone, it is gone forever. This is what makes time so powerful and so dangerous. When treated casually, it becomes the silent enemy of progress. When treated with respect, it becomes the strongest ally of success. Most people do not waste time intentionally. Time is usually lost in small, invisible ways. A few minutes scrolling, a postponed task, a decision delayed until tomorrow. These moments feel harmless on their own, but they accumulate. Over weeks and years, they shape lives. Dreams are not destroyed in a single dramatic failure. They fade slowly, buried under thousands of hours spent without direction. One of the greatest illusions of modern life is the belief that being busy means being productive. Many people end their days exhausted, feeling as though they have worked non-stop, yet they struggle to identify real progress. This happens because activity without purpose drains energy without producing results. True productivity is not about doing more tasks. It is about doing the right tasks at the right time. Success is built on intentional action, not constant motion. To understand time, you must first understand its relationship with choice. Every use of time is a choice, whether conscious or unconscious. When you choose to focus on something, you are also choosing to ignore something else. This is why time management is ultimately self-management. Your calendar reflects your priorities more honestly than your words ever will. If something truly matters to you, it will appear in how you spend your time. Many people claim they have no time, but what they often mean is that they have no clarity. Without clear goals, time fills itself with whatever is loudest or easiest. Urgent requests, notifications, and distractions step in to take control. Over time, life becomes reactive rather than intentional. You respond to events instead of shaping them. This reactive way of living slowly erodes both success and satisfaction. Time also reveals discipline, or the lack of it. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to work constantly. It is about honoring commitments, especially when motivation fades. Motivation is emotional and temporary. Time responds to consistency. The person who works steadily, even in small amounts, often surpasses the one who waits for perfect conditions. In the long run, disciplined use of time always defeats bursts of enthusiasm. Another reason time is so often misused is that its consequences are delayed. If you eat unhealthy food once, nothing dramatic happens immediately. If you skip learning or self-improvement today, there is no instant punishment. But over months and years, the results become unavoidable. Time compounds behavior. Small actions repeated daily grow into habits, and habits quietly determine the direction of your life. Successful people understand this compounding effect deeply. They respect time because they see it as a long-term investment. They are willing to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term gain. This does not mean they never rest or enjoy life. It means they choose rest deliberately rather than using distraction as escape. Rest that is intentional restores energy. Distraction that is uncontrolled steals it. Time also has a strong connection to self-respect. How you use your time reflects how much you value your own life. When you repeatedly give your best hours to meaningless activities, you send a message to yourself that your goals are not important. Over time, this weakens confidence and ambition. On the other hand, when you consistently dedicate time to growth, learning, and progress, self-respect grows naturally. It is important to understand that managing time does not mean controlling everything. Life is unpredictable. Emergencies happen. Responsibilities change. The goal is not rigidity, but direction. A person who knows where they are going can adjust their pace without losing the path. A person without direction, however, is easily lost, no matter how busy they appear. Another key truth about time is that it does not care about intentions. Good intentions do not produce results unless they are matched with action. Many people intend to change, intend to improve, and intend to succeed. Yet intention without time allocation remains a wish. The moment you assign time to something, you transform intention into commitment. This is where real change begins. As you reflect on your own life, consider this question. If someone studied your daily routine, what would they conclude matters most to you? Not what you say matters, but what your time reveals. This question is not meant to create guilt. It is meant to create awareness. Awareness gives you power. Once you see the truth, you can begin to change it. Time does not demand perfection. It rewards progress. Even small improvements in how you use your time can produce significant results over time. 10 focused minutes a day is better than an hour of distracted effort. Consistency beats intensity when it comes to long-term success. This chapter is not about pressure, it is about perspective. When you begin to see time as irreplaceable, your decisions naturally change. You become more selective, more intentional, and more respectful of your own energy. You stop asking how to get more time and start asking how to use the time you already have better. Mastering time begins with recognizing its true value. It is not a background element of life, it is the substance of life itself. Every goal, every relationship, every achievement must pass through time to exist. When you learn to treat time as the precious resource it is, you take the first real step toward mastering your success. In the next chapter, we will explore how success itself must be redefined through the lens of time, and why many people chase the wrong version of success while their most valuable hours slip away unnoticed. Chapter 2. Redefining Success Through Time. Success is one of the most desired outcomes in life, yet it is also one of the most misunderstood. Many people chase success for years without ever stopping to define what it truly means to them. They follow images created by society, social media, and comparison, believing that success is a specific destination marked by money, status, or recognition. But when success is defined only by external results, time is often misused in the pursuit of goals that do not bring lasting fulfillment. To understand the relationship between time and success, success itself must be redefined. True success is not a single achievement reached at the end of a long journey. It is the result of how a person lives day after day. It is reflected in growth, balance, and progress over time. A life that looks successful on the outside but feels empty on the inside is often the result of years spent using time in ways that contradict personal values. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that success can be rushed. They want fast results, instant recognition, and quick rewards. This mindset leads to frustration and poor decisions. Time does not respond well to impatience. Meaningful success is built gradually through consistent effort and thoughtful use of time. Those who accept this reality develop resilience, while those who resist it often burn out or give up. Success and time are connected through cause and effect. What you do with your time today creates the conditions of your life tomorrow. There is no separation between daily habits and long-term outcomes. A person who invests time in learning eventually gains expertise. A person who invests time in relationships builds trust and support. A person who invests time in avoidance and distraction experiences stagnation. Time is always working, either for you or against you, depending on how it is used. Another important aspect of redefining success is understanding that not all progress is visible. Society celebrates results, but success is often built in silence. The hours spent practicing, studying, planning, and improving rarely receive attention. Yet these quiet hours are the foundation of every visible achievement. When you learn to respect and protect these unseen moments, you align yourself with long-term success rather than short-term validation. Many people measure success by how busy they appear. Long hours, constant stress, and lack of rest are often mistaken for dedication. In reality, this approach usually signals poor time management. True success includes the ability to rest without guilt and work without resistance. It reflects control over time, not slavery to it. A successful life is not one where time is exhausted, but one where time is used intentionally. Time also reveals whether success is sustainable. Short-term wins achieved through extreme effort, neglect of health, and broken relationships often come at a high cost. When time is abused, success becomes fragile. Sustainable success requires balance. It requires time allocated not only to work, but also to recovery, reflection, and personal growth. Without this balance, even the greatest achievements lose their value. Another critical shift in redefining success is moving from outcome-focused thinking to process-focused thinking. Outcomes are important, but they are not fully under your control. Processes, however, are. You cannot control exactly when success will arrive, but you can control how you use your time today. When you focus on building strong daily processes, success becomes a natural result rather than a constant struggle. This perspective also reduces anxiety. Many people feel overwhelmed because they carry the pressure of future success into every moment. They worry about where they should be by a certain age or how fast they should be progressing. Time-focused success thinking removes this pressure. It brings attention back to the present moment where real action happens. When today is used well, tomorrow takes care of itself. Redefining success through time also means accepting that different seasons of life require different time priorities. There are periods for intense effort and periods for rest. There are moments when learning is the main focus and moments when application matters more. Success is not rigid. It evolves as life changes. Those who succeed long-term are those who adjust their use of time without losing sight of their core values. Comparison is one of the greatest enemies of time-based success. When you constantly measure your progress against others, you begin to misuse time trying to match someone else's pace. Every person has a different starting point, different responsibilities, and different opportunities. Success becomes personal and meaningful only when time is used according to your own path, not someone else's timeline. Perhaps the most important realization in this chapter is that success is not something you chase, it is something you build. It is built quietly, patiently, and consistently through daily choices. Every hour invested with intention strengthens the foundation of your future. Every hour wasted weakens it, even if the damage is not immediately visible. As you continue reading, begin to question your own definition of success. Ask yourself whether your current use of time reflects the life you want to create. This reflection is not about judgment, it is about alignment. When your definition of success becomes clear, managing your time becomes easier, more focused, and more meaningful. Success, when seen through the lens of time, stops being a distant dream. It becomes a daily practice. And once success becomes a practice, not a fantasy, it moves from possibility to inevitability. In the next chapter, we will explore the mindset of successful people and how their relationship with time shapes the way they think, decide, and act every day. Chapter 3: The Time Mindset of Successful People. The way a person thinks about time determines how they use it. Long before success becomes visible in results, it takes shape in mindset. Successful people do not see time as something to escape from or complain about. They see it as a responsibility. They understand that every hour carries potential, and that potential is either developed or wasted depending on the choices made in that hour. One of the clearest differences between successful individuals and those who remain stuck is awareness. Successful people are highly aware of how their time is spent. They do not leave their days entirely to chance. This does not mean they live rigid, joyless lives, but it does mean they are intentional. They know when they are working, when they are resting, and why they are doing both. This clarity prevents time from being consumed by accident. A key element of the successful time mindset is long-term thinking. While many people make decisions based on how they feel in the moment, successful individuals consider how those decisions will affect them weeks, months, and years later. They are willing to delay comfort and pleasure when necessary, not because they dislike enjoyment, but because they value progress more. This ability to think beyond the present moment gives their time direction and purpose. Another defining trait is their relationship with discipline. Successful people do not rely on motivation because they understand how unreliable it is. Motivation comes and goes, influenced by mood, energy, and circumstances. Discipline, on the other hand, is a decision. It is the decision to act even when conditions are not ideal. By building routines and habits, successful people reduce the number of decisions they need to make, conserving mental energy and protecting their time. They also understand the importance of focus. In a world full of noise, focus has become rare, and rarity creates value. Successful individuals guard their attention carefully. They limit distractions not because they are antisocial or extreme, but because they know that divided attention produces divided results. They choose depth over speed, quality over quantity, and completion over constant starting. Successful people tend to respect boundaries, both their own and others. They are willing to say no, even when it feels uncomfortable. They understand that every yes is also a no to something else. By protecting their time from unnecessary commitments, they preserve energy for what truly matters. This is not selfishness, it is responsibility. Without boundaries, time is easily consumed by other people's priorities. Another important aspect of the successful time mindset is ownership. Successful people take full responsibility for how they use their time. They do not blame circumstances, other people, or lack of opportunity. While they acknowledge challenges, they do not allow those challenges to become excuses. This sense of ownership creates power. When you believe your time is under your control, you act differently, you plan differently, you recover faster from setbacks. They also view time as an investment rather than an expense. Every hour is seen as a seed. Some seeds are planted for immediate results, such as completing tasks or solving problems. Others are planted for the future, such as learning new skills, improving health, or strengthening relationships. Successful people balance both. They understand that neglecting long-term investments leads to short-lived success. Failure does not change how successful people view time. When mistakes happen, they do not fall into regret or self-punishment. Instead, they analyze what went wrong, adjust their approach, and move forward. They do not waste time reliving the past. They use the present to correct it. This forward-focused mindset allows them to recover quickly and continue progressing. Another subtle but powerful trait is their comfort with boredom and repetition. Many people avoid activities that feel slow or repetitive, even when those activities are essential for growth. Successful individuals accept that mastery requires repetition. They are willing to do unexciting work consistently because they understand the long-term payoff. This patience with the process separates those who succeed from those who quit. Successful people also understand that rest is part of productivity. They do not glorify exhaustion. They schedule rest with the same intention as work. Rest allows the mind to reset and the body to recover. Without it, time becomes inefficient, no matter how many hours are worked. True productivity respects natural limits and works with them rather than against them. Perhaps most importantly, successful individuals align their time with their values. Their schedules reflect what they believe matters most. This alignment creates inner stability. When actions match values, there is less internal conflict and less wasted energy. Time flows more smoothly when it is guided by purpose rather than pressure. Developing this mindset does not require talent or privilege, it requires practice. It begins with observing your current relationship with time honestly, without judgment. Awareness leads to choice. Choice leads to change. Over time, repeated choices shape a mindset that naturally supports success. As you move forward, remember that managing time is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more intentional as yourself. When your mindset changes, your behavior follows. And when your behavior changes, the results you experience begin to shift as well. In the next chapter, we will identify the hidden thieves of time, the distractions, habits, and patterns that quietly steal hours and undermine success without being noticed. Chapter 4: The Hidden Thieves of Time. Most people do not lose their time in dramatic ways. Time is rarely stolen all at once. It disappears quietly, almost politely, through habits, distractions, and patterns that feel normal. This is why time loss is so dangerous. When something feels familiar, it stops being questioned. Days pass, weeks follow, and before long, years are gone without clear progress. Understanding the hidden fees of time is essential because you cannot protect what you do not recognize. One of the most powerful time thieves is unconscious behavior. Much of what we do every day is automatic. We wake up, check our phones, respond to messages, scroll through content, and move from one task to another without intention. These actions may seem small, but they shape the rhythm of the day. When time is used unconsciously, it is rarely used wisely. Awareness is the first defense against this silent loss. Among the most obvious yet underestimated thieves of time is digital distraction. Phones, social media, notifications, and constant connectivity have transformed how people experience time. A few minutes online easily become an hour. The problem is not the technology itself, but the lack of boundaries. When attention is constantly interrupted, focus breaks down. Tasks take longer, energy drains faster, and the mind struggles to settle into meaningful work. Digital platforms are designed to capture attention, not to protect it. They reward impulsive behavior, instant reactions, and endless scrolling. When you give these systems unrestricted access to your time, you slowly lose control over your schedule. The cost is not only lost hours, but also reduced mental clarity. A distracted mind cannot build success, no matter how many hours it stays busy. Another major thief of time is procrastination. Procrastination is often misunderstood as laziness, but it is rarely about lack of effort. More often, it is rooted in fear: fear of failure, fear of imperfection, fear of discomfort. Instead of confronting these feelings, people delay tasks, convincing themselves they will start later when conditions are better. Unfortunately, later rarely comes.
Procrastination creates an illusion of relief. Avoiding a task feels good in the moment, but it produces stress in the background. The mind never truly rests when something important is being avoided. Time is lost not only in delay, but also in mental tension. Successful people learn that starting imperfectly is far better than waiting endlessly for the perfect moment. Another subtle but powerful thief is constant interruption. Many people allow their time to be broken repeatedly by messages, calls, and requests. Each interruption may seem minor, but together they destroy deep focus. Returning to a task after interruption requires mental effort, and that effort accumulates throughout the day. By the end of the day, exhaustion sets in without meaningful progress. Not all interruptions come from others. Some come from within. Restlessness, boredom, and the urge to switch tasks can be just as disruptive. This internal interruption often appears when focus feels uncomfortable. Deep work requires mental discipline, and the mind often resists it. Without training, attention escapes at the first sign of difficulty. Lack of priorities is another major source of time loss. When everything feels important, nothing truly is. Many people start their days reacting to whatever appears first, rather than choosing intentionally. Urgent tasks push aside important ones. Over time, this creates a life focused on maintenance rather than growth. The urgent always shouts, the important whispers. Without clear priorities, time is controlled by noise instead of purpose. Meetings and conversations can also become hidden thieves when they lack structure or intention. Endless discussions without clear outcomes consume energy and time without producing results. Social interactions are valuable, but when they replace focused work or personal growth without awareness, they quietly erode progress.
Time must be balanced between connection and creation. Another thief that often goes unnoticed is perfectionism. While it may appear as a desire for excellence, perfectionism frequently delays action. People wait until they feel fully ready, fully confident, or fully prepared. This waiting consumes time and creates frustration. Excellence grows through action and adjustment, not through endless preparation. Perfectionism steals time by disguising fear as high standards. Multitasking is another modern illusion. Many believe that doing multiple things at once saves time. In reality, multitasking divides attention and reduces efficiency. The brain performs best when focused on one task at a time. Switching rapidly between tasks increases errors, slows progress, and increases mental fatigue. What feels productive often produces less than focused effort. Emotional states can also steal time. Stress, worry, resentment, and overthinking consume mental energy without producing solutions. When the mind is trapped in repetitive negative thoughts, time passes without action. This form of time loss is particularly damaging because it affects both productivity and well-being. Learning to manage emotions is not separate from time management. It is a core part of it. Another overlooked thief is lack of rest. When people neglect sleep and recovery, time becomes inefficient. Tasks take longer, mistakes increase, motivation decreases. Working longer hours without proper rest often produces less output than working fewer hours with clarity and energy. Rest is not a waste of time. It is an investment in effective time use. Some people lose time because they struggle to say no. They accept responsibilities that do not align with their goals, often to avoid discomfort or disappointment. Over time, their schedules fill with other people's priorities. Saying yes to everything may feel generous, but it often leads to resentment and exhaustion. Protecting time requires courage and clarity. Poor planning is another silent thief. Without a clear plan, time fills itself randomly. People spend energy deciding what to do instead of doing it. Planning does not need to be complex, but it must be intentional. A simple structure can save hours of confusion and hesitation. When planning is ignored, time is spent reacting rather than progressing. Fear of failure can also freeze time. Some people avoid taking action because they fear making mistakes. This fear leads to inactivity, which feels safe but produces nothing. Time continues to pass regardless of action or inaction. In this way, fear steals time more effectively than any distraction. Another powerful thief is living in the past or future. When the mind is stuck in regret or anxiety, the present moment is wasted. Reflection is useful and planning is necessary, but mental escape becomes harmful when it replaces action. The only moment where change is possible is now. Time lost to mental absence cannot be recovered. Recognizing these thieves is not about blame. Everyone is affected by them at some point. The goal is awareness. When you become aware of where your time is leaking, you regain control. Small changes can produce significant results. Turning off unnecessary notifications, setting clear boundaries, starting tasks despite discomfort. These actions protect time. Time does not need perfection, it needs direction. Eliminating every distraction is impossible, but reducing the most damaging ones is powerful. Each protected hour strengthens discipline, focus, and confidence. Over time, these protected hours compound into meaningful progress. This chapter is not meant to overwhelm you. It is meant to sharpen your vision. Once you see the hidden thieves of time, you can no longer ignore them. And once you stop ignoring them, you begin to master them. In the next chapter, we will shift from defense to creation. You will learn how to plan your days and weeks in a way that supports success rather than exhaustion, turning time from an enemy into a reliable partner on your path forward. Chapter 5: Daily and Weekly Planning for Success. Planning is the bridge between intention and achievement.
Without planning, goals remain ideas, motivation fades quickly, and time is consumed by reaction rather than creation. Many people resist planning because they associate it with rigidity, pressure, or loss of freedom. In reality, effective planning does the opposite. It creates clarity, reduces stress, and gives direction to your efforts. Planning is not about controlling every minute of your life. It is about making sure your time serves your purpose instead of being taken over by randomness. At its core, planning is an act of respect. Respect for your time, your energy, and your future. When you plan, you are making a clear statement. My time matters. You stop leaving your days to chance and start shaping them with intention. This single shift changes how you experience work, progress, and even rest. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with time management is not lack of discipline, but lack of structure. When the mind wakes up without a clear direction, it naturally chooses what is easy, familiar, or urgent. This is not a personal failure, it is how the human brain works. Planning provides structure so that willpower is not constantly tested. Instead of asking, "What should I do now?" all day long, you already know. Daily planning begins with clarity of priorities. Not everything deserves the same level of attention. Successful planning starts by identifying what truly matters. These are the tasks that move your life forward, not just maintain it. Many people fill their days with small tasks and end the day feeling busy but unsatisfied. The difference between a productive day and an exhausting one often lies in whether the most important task was addressed. A powerful approach to daily planning is choosing one main priority for the day. This does not mean you only do one thing, but it means one task carries the greatest importance. Completing that task creates a sense of progress and control, even if other smaller tasks remain unfinished. This mindset reduces overwhelm and increases focus. Planning also requires realism. Overloading your schedule with too many tasks creates frustration and discouragement. When plans are consistently unrealistic, the mind stops trusting them. Effective planning respects human limits. It leaves space for interruptions, rest, and unexpected events. A plan that assumes perfection is not a plan, it is a fantasy. Another essential element of daily planning is timing. Not all hours are equal. Energy levels rise and fall throughout the day. Some hours are better suited for deep focus, while others are better for routine tasks. Successful people learn to match tasks with energy. Important, demanding work is scheduled during high energy periods, while lighter tasks are placed during lower energy times. This alignment dramatically increases efficiency without requiring more effort. Morning planning plays a crucial role in shaping the day. The first decisions of the day often determine its direction. Starting the day without a plan makes you vulnerable to distraction and reaction. Even a few minutes of planning in the morning can bring clarity and calm. It reminds you of what matters before the noise of the day begins. Equally important is evening reflection. Taking time at the end of the day to review what was done and what was not helps you improve future planning. Reflection turns experience into learning. It allows you to adjust expectations, recognize patterns, and avoid repeating mistakes. Without reflection, planning becomes mechanical rather than intelligent. Weekly planning takes this process to a higher level. While daily planning focuses on execution, weekly planning focuses on direction. It allows you to step back and see the bigger picture. Instead of reacting to each day separately, you begin to shape the flow of your week. This perspective reduces stress because it replaces urgency with preparation. A well-planned week balances different areas of life. Work, learning, health, relationships, and rest all compete for time. When one area dominates completely, imbalance occurs. Weekly planning helps you distribute time intentionally rather than emotionally. It ensures that important but non-urgent areas, such as health or personal growth, are not constantly postponed. Weekly planning also makes long-term goals manageable. Large goals often feel overwhelming because they seem distant and unclear. Breaking them into weekly actions makes progress visible. Each week becomes a small step towards something meaningful. This steady movement builds confidence and motivation over time. Another advantage of weekly planning is flexibility. When you plan a week, you can anticipate challenges and adjust in advance. You can move tasks, prepare resources, and avoid unnecessary pressure. This flexibility prevents small disruptions from becoming major setbacks. Planning does not eliminate uncertainty, but it prepares you to handle it calmly. One common mistake in planning is focusing only on tasks and ignoring recovery. Rest is not something that happens by accident. If it is not planned, it is often replaced by distraction. Intentional rest restores energy and focus. It allows you to work with clarity rather than exhaustion. Planning rest is not a weakness, it is a strategy for sustainable success. Planning also strengthens self-discipline. When tasks are clearly defined and scheduled, resistance decreases. You spend less time negotiating with yourself and more time acting. Over time, this builds trust between you and your plans. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, and this identity shift is powerful. Another important aspect of planning is learning to estimate time realistically. Many people underestimate how long tasks take, leading to frustration and delay. With practice, you develop a better sense of time. This accuracy improves planning quality and reduces stress. You stop rushing and start pacing yourself more effectively. Planning should remain simple. Overcomplicated systems often fail because they require too much maintenance. A plan that is easy to use is more effective than a perfect one that is rarely followed. Whether you use a notebook, a digital tool, or a simple list matters less than consistency. The best planning system is the one you actually use. It is also important to understand that plans are guides, not rules. When life changes, plans should adapt. Rigid attachment to a plan can create unnecessary stress. Flexibility allows you to adjust without abandoning structure. The goal is direction, not control. Another powerful benefit of planning is reduced mental clutter. When tasks are written down and organized, the mind relaxes. You no longer need to remember everything. This frees mental energy for creativity, problem solving, and focus. Planning externalizes responsibility, allowing the mind to work more effectively. Planning also helps you say no more easily. When your priorities are clear, it becomes easier to recognize which requests do not align with them. This clarity protects your time from being consumed by low-value commitments. Saying no becomes an act of self-respect rather than guilt. Over time, planning changes your relationship with time. Instead of feeling chased by the clock, you begin to feel supported by it. You move from reacting to leading. This shift reduces anxiety and increases confidence. You no longer depend on motivation or urgency to act. You rely on structure and intention. It is important to remember that planning is a skill, not a talent. It improves with practice. Early attempts may feel awkward or ineffective. This is normal. Each week of planning teaches you something new about your energy, habits, and limits. With patience, planning becomes natural and powerful. Daily and weekly planning do not guarantee success, but they create the conditions for it. They turn effort into progress and intention into action. They allow time to work for you rather than against you. When planning becomes a habit, success becomes less about luck and more about consistency. As you move forward, do not aim for perfect plans. Aim for honest ones. Plans that reflect your real life, not an ideal version of it. Plans that respect your energy, your responsibilities, and your goals. These are the plans that last. In the next chapter, we will explore one of the most valuable skills in modern life: focus. You will learn why focus is rare, why it matters more than ever, and how protecting it can dramatically accelerate your success. Chapter 6: Focus, the real advantage of high achievers. In a world filled with noise, focus has become one of the rarest and most valuable skills. Information is everywhere. Notifications never stop. Distractions are constant, subtle, and socially accepted.
Yet, despite all this stimulation, or perhaps because of it, meaningful progress has become harder for many people to achieve. The ability to focus deeply and consistently is no longer common, but it is precisely this rarity that makes it such a powerful advantage. Focus is not simply concentration. It is the ability to direct your attention intentionally toward what matters most and keep it there long enough to produce results. Without focus, time fragments. Hours pass, effort is spent, but little of real value is created. With focus, even limited time becomes powerful. A single focused hour can produce more progress than an entire distracted day. Many people believe they struggle with time, when in reality, they struggle with attention. They sit down to work but check their phone repeatedly. They start tasks but rarely finish them. They feel busy yet unsatisfied. The problem is not lack of effort, it is lack of depth. Shallow attention produces shallow results, no matter how much time is invested. Successful people understand that focus is not a natural state. It is a skill that must be protected and trained. The human mind is easily distracted. It seeks novelty, comfort, and stimulation. Left unmanaged, attention drifts toward whatever is easiest or most entertaining. Focus requires intention. It requires choosing where your attention goes instead of allowing it to be taken. One of the biggest enemies of focus is constant accessibility. Being reachable at all times creates the illusion of productivity, but it destroys depth. Each interruption breaks concentration and requires time to recover. Even brief distractions can disrupt mental flow. Over the course of a day, these interruptions accumulate, leaving you mentally exhausted with little to show for it. High achievers structure their environment to support focus. They reduce unnecessary notifications, limit interruptions, and create clear boundaries around focused work. This is not about isolation or rigidity, it is about respect for attention. When focus is treated as valuable, it is protected accordingly. Another key element of focus is clarity. It is difficult to focus when goals are vague. The mind resists unclear tasks. Clear objectives give attention a target. When you know exactly what you are working on and why it matters, focus becomes easier. Ambiguity invites distraction. Clarity invites engagement. Focus also requires emotional discipline. Many distractions are emotional escapes. When a task feels difficult, boring, or uncomfortable, the mind looks for relief. Checking messages, switching tasks, or daydreaming provides temporary comfort. Successful people recognize this pattern and learn to stay present despite discomfort. They understand that growth often feels uncomfortable and that focus is the gateway through that discomfort. One powerful form of focus is what many call deep work, periods of uninterrupted attention dedicated to cognitively demanding tasks. Deep work allows you to produce high-quality results, learn faster, and create meaningful value. It is during these focused periods that real progress is made. Unfortunately, deep work is increasingly rare, which makes it even more valuable. Deep focus does not require long hours, it requires protection. Even short periods of uninterrupted focus, practiced consistently, can transform productivity. The key is quality, not quantity. A focused mind works faster, makes fewer mistakes, and retains information better. Multitasking is often seen as a sign of efficiency, but in reality, it is a barrier to focus. The brain can't fully concentrate on multiple complex tasks at once. What appears to be multitasking is usually rapid task switching, which reduces effectiveness and increases mental fatigue. Successful people simplify. They focus on one meaningful task at a time and complete it before moving on. Focus is also closely tied to energy. When energy is low, attention weakens. Poor sleep, stress, and lack of rest make focus difficult. This is why managing energy is just as important as managing time. High achievers respect their limits. They understand that focus cannot be forced indefinitely. It must be supported by healthy routines. Another important aspect of focus is learning to say no to distractions, unnecessary commitments, and low-value tasks. Every yes consumes attention. Without boundaries, focus is diluted. Saying no is not about rejection, it is about selection. It allows you to choose depth over noise. Focus also strengthens self-trust. When you consistently direct your attention toward meaningful work and follow through, confidence grows. You begin to see yourself as someone capable of sustained effort. This identity shift is powerful. It makes future focus easier because it aligns with how you see yourself. It is important to understand that focus is not perfection. Minds wander, attention slips. This is normal. The goal is not to eliminate distraction completely, but to notice it quickly and return to the task. Each return strengthens focus. Like a muscle, attention grows through repeated use. Many people wait for motivation to focus. Successful people reverse this process. They focus first and motivation follows. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates motivation. Waiting to feel ready often leads to delay, while starting creates clarity and energy. Focus also brings satisfaction. There is a deep sense of fulfillment that comes from being fully engaged in meaningful work. This satisfaction is different from pleasure. It is quieter, deeper, and longer lasting. It comes from alignment between attention and purpose. In a distracted world, focus is a form of leadership over your mind, your time, and your future. Those who master focus gain control over their days and direction over their lives. They do not work harder, they work deeper. As you move forward, begin to observe how you use your attention. Notice when it drifts and why. Notice what supports focus and what destroys it. These observations are the foundation of change. You cannot improve what you do not see. Focus is not a talent reserved for a few. It is a skill available to anyone willing to protect it. When you learn to focus, time expands, tasks become clearer, progress becomes visible, and success, once distant, begins to feel within reach. In the next chapter, we will explore an often overlooked truth. Managing time alone is not enough. To achieve lasting success, you must learn to manage your energy, physical, mental, and emotional, and understand how it shapes your ability to use time effectively.
Chapter 7. Managing Energy, Not Just Time. Many people believe that success is simply a matter of working longer hours or managing time more strictly. They try to fill every moment with productivity, only to find themselves exhausted, unfocused, and discouraged. This approach ignores a fundamental truth. Time is useless without energy. You may have hours available, but without the physical, mental, and emotional energy to use them well, those hours produce little value. This is why true success depends not only on managing time, but on managing energy. Energy determines the quality of your effort. Two people can spend the same amount of time on a task and achieve completely different results based on their energy level. When energy is high, focus sharpens, creativity flows, and effort feels lighter. When energy is low, even simple tasks feel heavy, progress slows, and mistakes increase. Learning to manage energy allows you to make the most of your time without burning yourself out. One of the biggest mistakes people make is treating all hours as equal. They plan tasks based on availability rather than capability. But human energy fluctuates throughout the day. There are periods of peak alertness and periods of natural decline. Successful people learn to work with these rhythms instead of fighting them. They schedule demanding tasks when energy is highest and lighter tasks when energy is lower. This simple alignment dramatically improves productivity. Physical energy is the foundation of all other forms of energy. Without it, mental focus and emotional stability suffer. Sleep, nutrition, and movement are not optional extras. They are essential tools for success. Lack of sleep reduces concentration, decision-making ability, and motivation. Poor nutrition leads to energy crashes. A sedentary lifestyle weakens stamina. When physical energy is neglected, time management strategies fail.
Successful people respect rest as much as work. They understand that rest is not wasted time, it is recovery. Recovery restores energy, prevents burnout, and sustains long-term performance. Pushing continuously without rest may produce short-term results, but it leads to exhaustion and decline. Sustainable success is built on cycles of effort and recovery. Mental energy is equally important. It is affected by focus, clarity, and emotional state. Constant decision-making, multitasking, and worry drain mental energy. This is why simplifying choices and creating routines is so powerful. When you reduce unnecessary decisions, you conserve mental strength for meaningful work. Emotional energy often goes unnoticed, yet it has a powerful impact on productivity. Unresolved stress, frustration, or resentment consume energy silently. Even when you are physically present, emotional tension can prevent full engagement. Learning to manage emotions, set boundaries, and process stress is essential for maintaining energy over time. One major drain on energy is working against your values. When you spend large portions of your time on activities that feel meaningless or misaligned, motivation fades. Energy flows more easily when your actions reflect what you care about. This alignment creates a sense of purpose that fuels effort even during challenges. Another important aspect of energy management is understanding limits. High achievers are not those who ignore limits, but those who respect them intelligently. They know when to push and when to pause. Ignoring limits leads to breakdown. Respecting limits leads to consistency. Consistency, not intensity, is what produces long-term success. Breaks play a crucial role in energy renewal. Short, intentional breaks allow the mind to reset and prevent fatigue. Without breaks, focus declines and mistakes increase. The goal is not constant work, but rhythmic work. Alternating between effort and rest creates sustainable momentum. Energy is also influenced by environment. Cluttered spaces, noise, and poor lighting drain energy. Clean, organized, and calm environments support focus and clarity. Successful people design their surroundings to support their goals rather than drain their energy. Another often overlooked factor is social energy. Some interactions energize you, others drain you. Being aware of how different relationships affect your energy helps you manage your time more wisely. This does not mean avoiding people, but being intentional about when and how you engage. Learning to say no is an energy skill as much as a time skill. Overcommitment drains energy quickly. Each obligation consumes not only time, but attention and emotional effort. Protecting energy requires selecting commitments carefully. When energy is preserved, time becomes more powerful. Energy management also requires honesty. There will be days when energy is low despite good habits. This is part of being human. On these days, adjusting expectations prevents frustration. Progress may be slower, but consistency can still be maintained. The goal is not perfection, but resilience. Many people wait until they are exhausted before resting. Successful people rest before exhaustion appears. This proactive approach keeps energy stable and prevents burnout. It allows them to show up consistently, even during demanding periods. When you manage energy effectively, time begins to feel different. Tasks that once felt overwhelming become manageable. Focus improves. Motivation becomes more stable. Instead of forcing productivity, you allow it to flow. Energy management also strengthens self-awareness. You become more attuned to your needs, limits, and rhythms. This awareness leads to better decisions and more sustainable success. You stop measuring productivity by hours worked and start measuring it by quality of effort. As you continue this journey, begin to observe your energy patterns. Notice when you feel most alert, most creative, and most tired. Use this information to shape your days. This is not about copying others, but about understanding yourself. Time is fixed, but energy is renewable. When you learn to renew energy consistently, you unlock the full potential of your time. This is why managing energy is not a luxury, it is a requirement for lasting success. In the next chapter, we will explore how daily habits shape the way time and energy are used, and how small, consistent routines can quietly build extraordinary results over time.
Chapter 8: Habits that Build Success. Success is rarely the result of a single decision or dramatic moment. More often, it is the outcome of small actions repeated consistently over time. These repeated actions form habits, and habits quietly shape the direction of a life. While motivation comes and goes, habits remain. This is why understanding habits is essential for mastering time, energy, and long-term success. Habits are powerful because they operate automatically. Once a habit is formed, it requires little conscious effort. This can work for you or against you. Positive habits create progress almost effortlessly, while negative habits drain time and energy without resistance. The danger of habits lies in their invisibility. Many people live on autopilot, unaware that their daily routines are determining their future. One of the most important truths about habits is that they are stronger than motivation. Motivation is emotional and unpredictable. Some days you feel inspired, other days you do not. Habits do not depend on how you feel. They depend on structure and repetition. This is why successful people design habits that support their goals instead of relying on willpower alone. Time management becomes much easier when key behaviors are habitual. When you no longer need to decide whether to work, plan, exercise, or learn, you save mental energy. Decisions consume energy. Habits reduce decision fatigue. This allows you to focus on higher-level thinking and creative work instead of constantly negotiating with yourself. Habits are formed through repetition, not intensity. Doing something consistently in small amounts is more effective than doing it intensely once in a while. A habit that takes 5 minutes a day can change your life more than a habit you attempt for hours but abandon quickly. Consistency creates identity. When you repeat an action, you begin to see yourself as the kind of person who does that action. Many people fail to build habits because they start too big. They set unrealistic expectations and become discouraged when they cannot maintain them. Successful habit building begins small. Small habits feel manageable and sustainable. Over time, they grow naturally. The goal is not to impress yourself, but to build momentum. Another important principle of habit formation is environment design. Your surroundings strongly influence your behavior. If distractions are easily available, distraction becomes a habit. If tools for productive behavior are visible and accessible, productivity becomes easier. Successful people shape their environment to support good habits rather than relying on constant self-control. Habits are also closely linked to identity. Every habit is a vote for the person you are becoming. When you consistently manage your time, you reinforce the identity of a disciplined person. When you repeatedly delay important tasks, you reinforce the identity of avoidance. Identity-based habits are powerful because they change behavior from the inside out. Breaking bad habits requires awareness and patience. Bad habits often serve a purpose, such as providing comfort or escape. Simply trying to eliminate them without understanding their function leads to resistance. Replacing a bad habit with a better alternative is more effective than trying to remove it entirely. The goal is not to fight yourself, but to redirect behavior. Time-wasting habits often appear harmless. Checking the phone frequently, postponing planning, or working without focus may seem small, but they compound over time. Replacing these habits with simple alternatives, such as scheduled phone checks, short planning sessions, or focused work blocks, can produce significant results. Habits also influence how you start and end your day. Morning habits shape direction. Evening habits shape recovery and reflection. A focused morning habit sets intention for the day. A calm evening habit prepares the mind for rest. Together, they create stability and rhythm. One powerful success habit is regular reflection. Taking time to review what worked and what did not turns experience into insight. Reflection strengthens awareness and prevents repeated mistakes. It keeps habits aligned with goals rather than becoming mindless routines. Another essential habit is learning. Successful people dedicate time to learning consistently, even when they are busy. Learning keeps skills relevant and thinking sharp. It is not always about formal education. It can be reading, listening, or practicing. Learning habits ensure continuous growth. Habits related to health also play a critical role in success. Regular movement, proper sleep, and mindful nutrition support energy and focus. When health habits are neglected, productivity declines. The body is not separate from success, it is the foundation of it. It is important to understand that habits do not remove freedom, they create it. When good habits handle routine behaviors, you gain freedom to think, create, and decide. Without habits, every day becomes a struggle of choices. With habits, progress becomes smoother and more reliable. Building habits takes time, and setbacks are part of the process. Missing a day does not destroy a habit. Quitting does. Successful people focus on returning to the habit quickly rather than aiming for perfection. Progress continues as long as consistency is restored. Habits also require review. As goals change, habits may need adjustment. What worked in one season of life may not work in another. Flexibility keeps habits relevant and effective. The purpose of habits is to serve your goals, not to trap you in routine. When habits align with time management and energy management, success becomes predictable. You no longer rely on bursts of effort, you rely on systems. Systems produce results regardless of mood. This is the quiet power behind long-term success. As you move forward, begin to observe your habits without judgment. Notice what supports your goals and what undermines them. Choose one small habit to improve and commit to it. Small changes repeated daily create extraordinary transformation. In the next chapter, we will explore how successful people deal with failure, delay, and lost time, and how you can recover quickly without guilt, frustration, or self-blame. Chapter 9: Failure, Delay, and Lost Time. Failure and delay are unavoidable parts of any meaningful journey. No matter how well you plan, how disciplined your habits are, or how focused your effort becomes, there will be moments when progress slows, mistakes happen, and time feels wasted. What separates successful people from those who remain stuck is not the absence of failure, but the way they respond to it. Time can be lost, but momentum does not have to be. Many people treat failure as a personal judgment. When something does not work, they interpret it as proof that they are incapable, unworthy, or behind. This mindset turns a temporary setback into a lasting obstacle. Successful people view failure differently. They see it as information. Each failure reveals something about what does not work, what needs adjustment, or what requires more patience. When failure is reframed as feedback, time spent failing is not wasted. It becomes part of the learning process. Delay often creates more damage than failure itself. When progress slows or plans fall apart, some people stop entirely. They wait for the right moment to restart, believing motivation will return on its own. In reality, delay weakens confidence and increases resistance. The longer action is postponed, the heavier it feels to begin again. Successful people understand this pattern and act quickly to regain movement, even in small ways. Lost time is especially painful because it cannot be recovered. When people realize how much time they have wasted, regret appears. Regret can be useful if it leads to awareness, but destructive if it leads to self-blame. Dwelling on lost time creates emotional paralysis. Time spent regretting wasted time becomes additional wasted time. The most productive response to loss is redirection, not punishment. One of the most important skills in time management is recovery. Recovery means the ability to return to productive action after a setback without excessive guilt or frustration. Successful people recover quickly. They do not require perfect conditions to restart. They begin where they are with what they have and adjust as they move forward. Perfectionism often increases failure-related delay. When people expect perfect execution, any mistake feels unbearable. This leads to avoidance. Progress stops not because of inability, but because standards are unrealistic. Successful individuals focus on progress, not perfection. They allow mistakes as long as learning continues. Another common reaction to failure is overcorrection. Some people respond by changing everything at once, hoping to avoid future mistakes. This often creates confusion and instability. Sustainable improvement comes from small, thoughtful adjustments. One change at a time is more effective than constant reinvention. Time is also lost through emotional attachment to past decisions. People continue investing in paths that no longer serve them simply because they have already invested time. This mindset, often driven by fear of waste, leads to further loss. Successful people are willing to let go. They understand that stopping a wrong direction early saves time in the long run. Failure also tests discipline. It is easy to stay consistent when progress is visible. It is harder when results are slow or unclear. During these periods, habits and systems become especially important. When motivation fades, structure carries you forward. This is why building systems matters more than relying on feelings. Another important lesson is that not all lost time is truly lost. Time spent resting, reflecting, or reassessing direction can be valuable if it leads to clarity. The difference lies in intention. Intentional pauses support growth. Unconscious avoidance does not. Learning to distinguish between the two prevents unnecessary guilt and confusion. Many people abandon goals because they underestimate how long success takes. They expect visible results too quickly and lose faith when progress is slow. Successful people accept that meaningful change requires patience. They measure progress over months and years, not days. This long-term perspective reduces frustration and strengthens resilience. Self-compassion plays a critical role in recovery. Harsh self-criticism drains energy and reduces focus. Compassion, on the other hand, creates stability. Treating yourself with understanding does not mean lowering standards. It means creating an environment where improvement is possible. Successful people hold themselves accountable without hostility. Another way time is lost is through constant restarting. Some people repeatedly begin new plans without finishing old ones. This creates the illusion of progress while preventing depth. True progress often requires staying with a plan long enough to experience discomfort and resistance. Successful people adjust plans, but they do not abandon them at the first sign of difficulty. Reflection transforms failure into wisdom. Taking time to review what went wrong and why helps prevent repetition. Reflection should be honest, not emotional. The goal is understanding, not blame. When reflection is consistent, mistakes become less costly over time. Failure also teaches humility. It reminds you that growth is a process, not a performance. This humility makes learning easier and success more sustainable. Those who fear failure often avoid challenges. Those who accept it grow stronger through them. Lost time becomes less frightening when you realize that the present moment is always available. No matter how much time has passed, the next action still matters. Progress does not require starting over completely. It requires starting now. This mindset shifts focus from regret to responsibility. Successful people do not allow past losses to control future decisions. They learn, adjust, and move forward. They understand that time continues regardless of emotion. The only productive question after a setback is, what is the next best step? As you move forward, accept that failure and delay are not signs of weakness. They are signs of engagement. Anyone who attempts something meaningful will encounter them. The goal is not to avoid them, but to respond wisely. In the next chapter, we will explore the powerful relationship between time, money, and long-term success, and how understanding this relationship helps you make better decisions about where to invest your most valuable resource. Successful people also understand the difference between income-generating time and growth-generating time. Income-generating time produces immediate money. Growth-generating time builds skills, knowledge, and relationships that increase future income. Both are necessary. Focusing only on immediate income can limit long-term potential. Ignoring income entirely can create instability. Balance creates sustainable success. Another important relationship between time and money is freedom. Financial freedom is often described as having enough money. In reality, it is having control over time. When you can choose how to spend your hours, you experience true freedom. This freedom is built gradually through disciplined time and money decisions. Many people chase money at the expense of time, believing they can enjoy life later. Unfortunately, later is not guaranteed. Successful people design lives where progress and enjoyment coexist. They understand that time spent on health, relationships, and meaning is not separate from success, it is part of it. Time also influences how risk is perceived. Younger people often underestimate the value of early time investment. Older people often regret wasted time more than wasted money. Successful individuals recognize the value of time early and use it intentionally, regardless of age. Starting late is still better than never starting at all. Another common mistake is confusing activity with value. Not all work is valuable. Some tasks consume time without producing meaningful returns. Successful people regularly evaluate how their time is spent and adjust accordingly. They eliminate or delegate low-value activities whenever possible. Delegation itself is a form of time investment. When you delegate effectively, you exchange money for time. This allows you to focus on higher-value activities. Successful people understand when to do something themselves and when to delegate. This decision protects both time and energy. Time management also influences generosity. When time is managed well, people have more capacity to help others. When time is chaotic, generosity feels like a burden. Long-term success includes the ability to contribute without exhaustion. This balance is built through intentional use of time. Another powerful principle is that money mistakes can often be fixed, but time mistakes cannot. This awareness encourages careful decision-making. It does not lead to fear, but to responsibility. When time is treated as precious, choices become clearer. Long-term success is not about maximizing income at any cost. It is about creating a life where time and money support each other. Money provides options. Time gives those options meaning. Without time, money loses value. Without money, time becomes restricted. Balance creates sustainability. As you reflect on your own life, consider where your time is being invested. Are those investments producing growth, stability, and fulfillment, or are they creating stress and stagnation? Honest evaluation is the first step toward change. Successful people regularly review both their time and financial habits. They understand that alignment between the two is essential. When time and money work together, progress accelerates. In the next chapter, we will look at real-life examples of successful individuals and how they apply time management principles in practical, everyday ways. Chapter 11. Real-life examples of time mastery and success. Principles become powerful when they are lived. Ideas gain meaning when they are applied in real situations, under real pressure, with real limitations. Time management is no exception. While strategies and concepts provide direction, it is the way people apply them in everyday life that truly demonstrates their value. This chapter explores practical examples of how successful individuals, ordinary people with ordinary constraints, use time intentionally to create meaningful results. One common pattern among successful people is not perfection, but consistency. Consider the example of someone who begins their career with limited skills and opportunities. Instead of waiting for ideal conditions, they commit to daily improvement. They dedicate a small, fixed amount of time each day to learning, reading, practicing, or observing others. At first, progress is slow and barely noticeable. Months later, their competence improves. Years later, their expertise sets them apart. The success did not come from a single breakthrough, but from time invested steadily. Another example can be seen in entrepreneurs who start with full-time jobs and limited resources. They cannot afford to work endlessly on their ideas, so they become selective. They protect early morning or late evening hours for focused work. They avoid unnecessary commitments and use short, focused sessions to build momentum. Over time, these protected hours accumulate into skills, products, and opportunities. Their success grows not because they had more time, but because they used small amounts of time with discipline. Students who excel often demonstrate similar patterns. High-performing students do not necessarily study longer than others. They study more intentionally. They plan their weeks, prioritize difficult subjects, and review material consistently instead of cramming. They understand that regular, focused effort reduces stress and improves retention. Their time management creates confidence, which further improves performance. Professionals who advance in their careers often share another trait. They invest time in growth beyond their immediate responsibilities. While others stop learning once basic requirements are met, these individuals dedicate time to developing new skills, improving communication, or understanding their field more deeply. This investment makes them adaptable and valuable. When opportunities arise, they are ready, not by chance, but by preparation.
Chapter 11. Real-life examples of time mastery and success. Principles become powerful when they are lived. Ideas gain meaning when they are applied in real situations under real pressure with real limitations. Time management is no exception. While strategies and concepts provide direction, it is the way people apply them in everyday life that truly demonstrates their value. This chapter explores practical examples of how successful individuals, ordinary people with ordinary constraints, use time intentionally to create meaningful results. One common pattern among successful people is not perfection, but consistency. Consider the example of someone who begins their career with limited skills and opportunities. Instead of waiting for ideal conditions, they commit to daily improvement. They dedicate a small, fixed amount of time each day to learning, reading, practicing, or observing others. At first, progress is slow and barely noticeable. Months later, their competence improves. Years later, their expertise sets them apart. The success did not come from a single breakthrough, but from time invested steadily. Another example can be seen in entrepreneurs who start with full-time jobs and limited resources. They cannot afford to work endlessly on their ideas, so they become selective. They protect early morning or late evening hours for focused work. They avoid unnecessary commitments and use short, focused sessions to build momentum. Over time, these protected hours accumulate into skills, products, and opportunities. Their success grows not because they had more time, but because they used small amounts of time with discipline. Students who excel often demonstrate similar patterns. High-performing students do not necessarily study longer than others. They study more intentionally. They plan their weeks, prioritize difficult subjects, and review material consistently instead of cramming. They understand that regular, focused effort reduces stress and improves retention. Their time management creates confidence, which further improves performance. Professionals who advance in their careers often share another trait. They invest time in growth beyond their immediate responsibilities. While others stop learning once basic requirements are met,
These individuals dedicate time to developing new skills, improving communication, or understanding their field more deeply. This investment makes them adaptable and valuable. When opportunities arise, they are ready, not by chance, but by preparation. Another powerful example comes from people who transform their health. Many begin overwhelmed, believing change requires extreme effort. Those who succeed start small. They schedule short walks, simple exercises, or modest dietary changes. They treat health as a long-term time investment rather than a short-term challenge. Over time, energy increases, focus improves, and other areas of life benefit. This success is built through daily time choices, not dramatic transformations. Parents who balance family and personal goals also provide strong examples of time mastery. With limited flexibility, they become highly intentional. They plan family time, protect personal growth hours, and accept that progress may be slower, but still meaningful. Their success lies not in doing everything, but in doing what matters most. This balance creates fulfillment rather than constant guilt. Creative individuals, writers, artists, and creators often succeed by building routines rather than waiting for inspiration. They schedule creative time and show up consistently even when motivation is low. Over time, ideas flow more easily. Output increases. What appears as talent is often the result of regular practice protected by disciplined time use. Another example is found in people who recover from setbacks. After failure or loss, some individuals retreat and waste time and regret. Others reflect, adjust, and act. They accept responsibility without self-punishment. They rebuild routines, restore habits, and regain momentum. Their ability to recover quickly preserves time and prevents prolonged stagnation. Leaders who manage teams effectively often demonstrate respect for time, not only their own but others. They run focused meetings, set clear priorities, and avoid unnecessary urgency. This respect builds trust and efficiency. Teams become more productive because time is treated as valuable rather than disposable. Across all these examples, a common theme appears. Successful people align their time with their values. Their schedules reflect what they believe matters. They do not claim priorities, they demonstrate them daily. This alignment creates clarity and reduces internal conflict. When time and values match, effort feels purposeful. Another shared trait is acceptance of limits. Successful individuals do not attempt to do everything. They choose carefully. They understand that saying no protects time for deeper work. This selectivity prevents burnout and increases impact. Their success is focused, not scattered. It is also important to note that these individuals still experience distraction, fatigue, and doubt. The difference is not absence of struggle, but response to it. They notice when time slips and correct quickly. They do not abandon systems because of temporary failure. They return to structure rather than surrendering to chaos. These examples demonstrate that time management is not about control, but about direction. Life remains unpredictable. Challenges appear. Responsibilities change. Those who succeed adjust their use of time without losing sight of what matters. Flexibility combined with intention creates resilience. Real-life success stories also show that results take time. Progress often feels invisible before it becomes obvious. Many people quit during this invisible phase. Those who succeed persist, trusting the process rather than demanding immediate reward. Time rewards patience when effort is consistent. As you reflect on these examples, it is important not to compare yourself harshly. Each person has different circumstances, energy levels, and responsibilities. The lesson is not to copy someone else's routine, but to adopt the principle behind it: intentional use of time aligned with purpose.
You do not need extraordinary discipline or ideal conditions to apply these lessons. You need awareness, consistency, and willingness to adjust. Small decisions made daily create patterns. Patterns create habits. Habits shape outcomes. This chapter serves as a reminder that success is practical. It is built in ordinary days, not extraordinary moments. It is built by people who choose to use time consciously, even when it feels uncomfortable or slow. In the final chapter, we will bring everything together into a clear, practical 30-day plan designed to help you apply these principles step by step and begin transforming your relationship with time immediately.
Chapter 12. A 30-day plan to transform your relationship with time. Understanding time is important, but transformation happens only through action. Knowledge without application changes nothing. This final chapter is designed to help you move from awareness to practice through a clear, realistic 30-day plan. This plan is not about perfection or radical change. It is about building momentum, restoring control, and creating a healthier, more intentional relationship with time, one day at a time. The purpose of a 30-day plan is not to force instant success, but to create a foundation. 30 days is long enough to build awareness, establish new habits, and experience measurable change, yet short enough to feel manageable. What you do consistently over the next month can reshape how you use time for years to come. The core principle of the 30-day plan. This plan is built on one central idea. Small, daily actions produce powerful long-term results. You are not trying to redesign your entire life at once. You are learning to make better choices repeatedly. Each day builds on the previous one. If you miss a day, you do not restart, you continue. Progress matters more than perfection. Week 1. Awareness and clarity. The first week is about observation, not pressure. Before changing how you use time, you must understand how you are currently using it. During this week, your main task is to become aware of your time habits. Pay attention to how your day unfolds. Notice when you feel focused, distracted, energized, or drained. Write down how you spend your time without judging it. The goal is honesty, not discipline. At the same time, begin clarifying what truly matters to you. Ask yourself simple but powerful questions. What do I want to improve in my life? What activities move me closer to that? What activities consistently waste my time? Do not rush these reflections. Clarity grows through thought, not speed. By the end of the first week, you should have a clearer picture of where your time goes and where you want it to go instead. Week 2. Structure and planning. The second week introduces structure. Now that you are aware of your patterns, you begin shaping them. Start each day with a simple plan. Identify one main priority, one task that, if completed, will make the day successful. Do not overload your schedule. Choose realistically. Begin planning your days the night before or early in the morning. Keep plans simple and flexible. The purpose is direction, not control. This week is also about boundaries. Reduce one major distraction. It could be limiting social media, turning off non-essential notifications, or creating a short period of uninterrupted focus each day. Small boundaries protect large amounts of time.
You may feel resistance during this week. This is normal. Structure often feels uncomfortable at first because it removes escape. Stay patient. Structure creates freedom over time. Week 3. Focus and energy alignment. The third week focuses on depth and sustainability. Now that structure exists, you work on quality. Begin identifying your high energy periods. When do you feel most alert and focused? Schedule your most important work during these times. Place routine or low-energy tasks elsewhere. Practice focused work daily, even if only for short periods. Protect these moments.
No multitasking, no unnecessary interruptions. Depth matters more than duration. At the same time, begin respecting rest. Sleep, short breaks, and mental pauses are part of the plan. If you neglect energy, time management collapses. This week is about balance, working deeply, then recovering intentionally. Week 4. Habits, review, and adjustment. The final week focuses on consolidation. By now, you have awareness, structure, and focused effort. This week ensures these elements become habits. Choose one habit related to time, daily planning, focused work, or reflection, and commit to it consistently. Do not add too many habits at once. One strong habit is enough to anchor change. Begin reviewing your days more intentionally. What worked? What didn't? Adjust without self-criticism. Improvement comes from refinement, not punishment. At the end of the 30 days, reflect deeply. Compare how you feel now to how you felt at the beginning. Notice changes in clarity, stress, focus, and progress. These changes may be subtle, but they are meaningful. What this plan is and what it is not. This plan is not a productivity challenge. It is a reset. It is not about doing more, but about doing better. It is not about pressure, but about responsibility. You will not become perfect in 30 days. You will become more aware, more intentional, and more capable of directing your time. That is enough to change your trajectory. After the 30 days, the end of the plan is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of a new relationship with time. Continue refining, continue learning, continue protecting what matters. Time mastery is not achieved once, it is practiced continuously. Life changes, priorities shift, and systems must adapt. What remains constant is intention. A final reflection. Every success you admire was built through time. Every failure you fear was shaped by time. Time is neutral. It does not judge. It responds. You do not need more hours. You need clearer choices. You do not need perfect discipline. You need consistent direction. If you take responsibility for how you use your time, success stops being a mystery. It becomes a process, one you can influence every single day. The next hour matters. What you do with it is where your future begins. Chapter 13. The Decision That Changes Everything. Every book about success ultimately leads to one moment, the moment of decision. Not the dramatic kind that changes life overnight, but the quiet, personal decision that reshapes daily behavior. After understanding time, focus, energy, habits, failure, money, and planning, what remains is choice. Knowledge alone does not transform lives. Decisions do. At this point, you know something many people ignore for years. Your life is built 1 hour at a time. Nothing magical separates successful people from others. The difference is not intelligence, luck, or perfect circumstances. The difference is that successful people decide, again and again, to use their time with intention, even when it feels difficult, boring, or uncomfortable. One of the most dangerous illusions in life is believing that change will happen later. Later feels safe because it carries no responsibility. Tomorrow feels easier because it demands nothing today. But later is where dreams quietly disappear. Successful people understand that there is only one real moment for action: now. Not because now is perfect, but because now is available. This chapter is not about techniques. It is about responsibility. Responsibility does not mean blame or pressure. It means ownership. When you take ownership of your time, you take ownership of your direction. You stop living on autopilot and start living deliberately. This shift is subtle but powerful. Many people wait for confidence before acting. In reality, confidence is built through action. When you honor your time, even in small ways, you begin to trust yourself. This self-trust grows stronger each day you follow through.
Over time, it becomes identity. You no longer try to manage time. You become someone who respects it. There will still be distractions. There will still be setbacks. Life will still interrupt your plans. Mastery does not mean control over everything. It means control over response. When plans fail, you adjust. When time is lost, you redirect. When motivation fades, you rely on habits. This resilience is what sustains success. It is important to understand that success does not require extreme discipline. It requires consistent intention. You do not need to optimize every hour. You need to protect the important ones. You do not need to eliminate all distractions. You need to reduce the most damaging ones. Progress grows from realistic effort repeated over time. Another powerful truth is that time mastery creates peace, not just achievement. When you know your time is aligned with your values, guilt decreases, anxiety softens, even rest feels earned instead of wasted. This inner calm is often overlooked, but it is one of the greatest rewards of intentional living. Success, when built correctly, does not feel chaotic. It feels stable. It feels earned. It feels aligned. This stability comes from respecting time, not fearing it, not chasing it, but working with it. As you move forward, you will face moments where old habits try to return. This is normal. Change does not erase the past, it competes with it. When this happens, do not judge yourself. Simply return to awareness, return to planning, return to focus, return to action. Each return strengthens mastery. Remember that time does not ask for perfection, it responds to direction. Even imperfect action moves you forward. Even small effort compounds. Even one focused hour a day can reshape a life over years. This book was not written to impress you. It was written to remind you of something simple and powerful. Your time is your life. How you spend it is how you live. When you master your time, success stops being something you chase. It becomes something you build, quietly, steadily, and intentionally. The next step is not reading another book. It is choosing how to use your next hour. That choice, repeated daily, is the decision that changes everything. Chapter 14: Living a Time-Aligned Life. After all the strategies, principles, and reflections, what remains is not a system, but a way of living. Mastering time is not something you switch on and off. It becomes a lens through which you see your life. A time-aligned life is one where your actions, values, and priorities move in the same direction. It is a life where time supports you instead of constantly chasing you. Many people believe that time management is something you practice only when life is busy or chaotic. In reality, it is most powerful when it becomes invisible, when intentional use of time feels natural rather than forced. At this stage, you no longer think constantly about productivity, you think about purpose. Time becomes a tool, not a source of pressure. Living a time-aligned life means accepting that you cannot do everything and that you do not need to. Freedom does not come from unlimited options, it comes from clear choices. When you know what matters, many decisions disappear. This simplicity creates calm, and calm creates clarity. One of the clearest signs of time alignment is peace of mind. This does not mean life becomes easy or free of problems. It means your effort feels meaningful. Even difficult days feel purposeful because they are connected to something larger. When time aligns with values, effort feels justified, not draining. A time-aligned life also changes how you experience success. Success stops being a distant finish line and becomes a daily experience. Progress, learning, and consistency become victories. You no longer postpone happiness until some future achievement. You allow satisfaction to grow alongside effort. Another important aspect of time alignment is integrity. Integrity means doing what you said you would do, not to impress others, but to respect yourself. Each time you honor a commitment to your time, trust grows. This self-trust becomes the foundation of confidence. Confidence built this way is quiet, stable, and durable. Time alignment also brings honesty. You become more honest about what drains you and what energizes you. You notice patterns. You recognize when something no longer fits your direction. This honesty allows you to adjust without guilt. Letting go becomes easier when you understand that time is limited and valuable.
Living intentionally with time also deepens relationships. When you give people your time fully, without distraction, it strengthens connection. Quality replaces quantity. Presence becomes more valuable than availability. This kind of time investment builds trust and meaning that cannot be rushed. Another transformation happens in how you handle pressure. When your time is aligned, pressure decreases. You still work hard, but urgency no longer controls you. You act from intention, not panic. This steadiness improves decision-making and emotional balance. A time-aligned life also accepts imperfection. You will still have unproductive days. You will still make poor time choices occasionally. Alignment does not require constant success, it requires consistent return. Each time you notice misalignment and correct it, you strengthen the habit of awareness. Over time, alignment creates momentum. Decisions become easier, focus improves, energy stabilizes. You stop fighting yourself. This is when time mastery becomes less about effort and more about flow. It is important to understand that alignment evolves. What matters today may not matter in 5 years. Responsibilities change, priorities shift. A time-aligned life is flexible, not rigid. It adapts without losing direction. Reflection keeps alignment alive. Another powerful result of time alignment is reduced regret. When you live according to intention rather than reaction, you minimize the gap between who you are and how you live. Even when outcomes fall short, effort feels honest. Regret loses its power when time is used consciously. A time-aligned life also prepares you for uncertainty. When change comes, and it always does, you are not lost. You know how to reevaluate, replan, and move forward. Time mastery is not about avoiding chaos, but about navigating it with clarity. As you reach the end of this book, it is worth remembering that nothing here requires extreme discipline or exceptional ability. It requires attention. It requires responsibility. It requires patience. These qualities are available to anyone willing to practice them. You are not behind. You are not late. You are simply at a moment of choice. The past has already used its time. The future is shaped by what you do next. A time-aligned life is not built in grand moments. It is built in ordinary hours used deliberately. And those ordinary hours, when respected, protected, and aligned, create an extraordinary life. Chapter 15. Your Time, Your Legacy. Every life leaves a trace. Long after plans change, goals shift, and achievements fade from memory, what remains is the impact created through time. Not the number of years lived, but how those years were used. Time is the raw material of legacy. Whether intentionally shaped or unconsciously spent, it always tells a story. Legacy is often misunderstood as something grand or public, fame, wealth, or recognition. In reality, legacy is quieter and more personal. It is found in the skills you developed, the values you lived by, the people you influenced, and the consistency with which you honored what mattered. All of this is built through time, one decision at a time. Most people do not think about legacy while managing their daily schedules. They focus on tasks, deadlines, and responsibilities. Yet legacy is not created separately from daily life. It is created by daily life.
The way you spend your ordinary hours becomes the message you leave behind. When you respect your time, you communicate respect for your life. When you invest time in growth, learning, and contribution, you create value that extends beyond yourself. When you waste time carelessly, the loss is not only personal, it is the loss of what could have been created, shared, or improved. A powerful truth is that legacy begins long before results are visible. It begins when you choose to show up consistently. It begins when you choose discipline over impulse, intention over distraction, and purpose over convenience. These choices may feel small, but they compound into character. Character shapes outcomes. Outcomes shape impact. Another important aspect of legacy is example. Whether you realize it or not, others observe how you live. They notice how you handle pressure, how you recover from failure, and how you use your time. Your behavior teaches more than your words. A life lived with intention quietly gives permission for others to do the same. Time also defines the kind of legacy you create internally. How you feel about your own life matters. When you look back, the question will not only be, what did I achieve, but did I live in alignment with what mattered to me? Peace comes from knowing your time reflected your values, even when outcomes were imperfect. Many people postpone meaningful living, believing they will focus on purpose later, after success, after stability, after some future milestone. This delay is one of the greatest threats to legacy. Purpose does not wait. Meaning is not reserved for later stages of life. It is available now in how you use your time today. A time-driven legacy is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters consistently. It is about choosing depth over noise and contribution over consumption. It is about understanding that attention is a gift and deciding where to give it.
Chapter 16. The journey continues. Reaching the end of this book does not mean reaching the end of the journey. In many ways, it is only the beginning. Mastering time is not a destination you arrive at once and for all. It is a practice, one that evolves as your life evolves. What matters most is not how perfectly you manage time, but how consistently you return to intention when you drift. Life will continue to change. Responsibilities will increase or shift. Priorities will be tested. There will be seasons of clarity and seasons of confusion. During some periods, managing time will feel natural and effortless. During others, it will feel difficult and demanding. This fluctuation is normal. The goal is not to eliminate struggle, but to develop the ability to navigate it wisely. One of the most important realizations on this journey is that progress is rarely linear. Some weeks will feel productive and aligned. Others will feel scattered and slow. Successful people do not panic during slow periods. They do not abandon their systems because of temporary setbacks. They remain patient, adjust gently, and keep moving forward. As you continue applying what you have learned, remember that awareness is your greatest tool. Whenever life feels overwhelming, return to simple questions. Where is my time going? Does this reflect what matters most to me? What is one small adjustment I can make today? Small adjustments are powerful. You do not need dramatic changes to regain control. Often a single protected hour, a single clear priority, or a single honest decision is enough to restore direction. Another essential lesson of long-term time mastery is humility. No system works forever without adjustment. What served you in one phase of life may no longer fit in another. Growth requires flexibility.
Revisiting your goals, habits, and schedules regularly keeps your relationship with time healthy and realistic. It is also important to allow space for meaning beyond productivity. Not every valuable moment produces measurable results. Time spent in reflection, connection, creativity, or quiet presence has its own form of value. A meaningful life is not built only on achievement, but on experience. When time is aligned, both can coexist. As the journey continues, you may notice that your definition of success changes. External achievements may become less important than internal balance. Speed may give way to sustainability. This evolution is not failure, it is maturity. It reflects deeper understanding of what time is truly for.
Another truth becomes clear with experience. You never completely run out of time. You run out of attention. When attention is scattered, time feels scarce. When attention is focused, time feels sufficient. Returning attention to what matters restores a sense of abundance, even during busy periods. You may also discover that helping others manage their time becomes part of your own growth. Sharing insight, modeling intentional behavior, and respecting other people's time deepens your own practice. Time mastery multiplies when it is shared, not guarded. As you move forward, do not measure your success only by outcomes. Measure it by alignment. Ask yourself whether your days reflect your values more clearly than they once did. If the answer is yes, progress is happening, even if results are still forming. There will be moments when you forget everything you have learned. This is not failure. It is part of being human. What matters is return. Each return strengthens awareness. Each return rebuilds momentum. Over time, returning becomes easier and faster. This journey does not require pressure. It requires presence. When you are present with your time, decisions improve naturally. When decisions improve, life becomes more intentional. And when life becomes intentional, success follows quietly. You do not need to rush forward from here. You simply need to continue. One day, 1 hour, one choice at a time. The journey continues not because time demands it, but because your life deserves it. Another truth becomes clear with experience. You never completely run out of time. You run out of attention. When attention is scattered, time feels scarce. When attention is focused, time feels sufficient. Returning attention to what matters restores a sense of abundance, even during busy periods. You may also discover that helping others manage their time becomes part of your own growth. Sharing insight, modeling intentional behavior, and respecting other people's time deepens your own practice. Time mastery multiplies when it is shared, not guarded. As you move forward, do not measure your success only by outcomes. Measure it by alignment. Ask yourself whether your days reflect your values more clearly than they once did. If the answer is yes, progress is happening, even if results are still forming. There will be moments when you forget everything you have learned. This is not failure. It is part of being human. What matters is return. Each return strengthens awareness. Each return rebuilds momentum. Over time, returning becomes easier and faster. This journey does not require pressure. It requires presence. When you are present with your time, decisions improve naturally. When decisions improve, life becomes more intentional. And when life becomes intentional, success follows quietly. You do not need to rush forward from here. You simply need to continue. One day, 1 hour, one choice at a time. The journey continues not because time demands it, but because your life deserves it.